Hey there, and welcome to Badass Branding. This is the first module called Branding Foundations, and in this first lesson, we are going to talk about what exactly is branding. Since there's so much confusion around it, I figure it's very important to go over exactly what that is so you can really discern what it is as you move forward in building your business. We'll start with the truth bomb. So first, your brand is not your logo. Now, your logo is part of your brand identity, which is also part of your brand, but your logo alone is not your brand. So when you are first starting your business out, you might be tempted to just go get a real fancy logo done, and I highly recommend you not do that because it's not as important at that stage. So let's dive into the lesson preview here. So in this first lesson, we're going to learn exactly what branding is, and then we're going to go over the three main types of brands. And then we're going to determine what type of brand your business is. So it's a pretty quick lesson, so let's get to it. What is branding? Well, branding has become the F word in online marketing, right? It's a verb, it's a noun, it's an adjective, but what is it exactly? There's a lot of confusion as to what branding is, and there is a good reason for that because it's very hard to define. Some people would say that branding is your logo, the colors, the fonts, the visual stuff. And some would say that branding is the values and the messages you deliver to your audience. And then others might even say that branding is that gut feeling that your audience has about your company. Well, guess what? They're all right. And to give you a sort of synthesized definition of branding, basically branding is the process of creating a strong, consistent, positive perception of your company over time in the mind of your customer. So that's what branding is. Your brand is that vehicle that actually delivers or conveys that perception that you want to your audience to have. And there are three types of brands generally. There's also one I don't cover here as a product brand because most of us are going to be either personal brands or business brands. So there are three main types of brands for online entrepreneurs, and those are going to be your personal brands, your business brands, and a hybrid. And let's go over those. So a personal brand is basically when you are the face of your business. It's your name. It takes on your personality, and it's really not a lot of sort of differentiators between you, the person, and the business that you do. And you'll find that most online entrepreneurs are going to be personal brands, and those are going to be your coaches, consultants, service providers, and things like that, right? And in a personal brand, you are typically doing the core work. Most coaches or consultants, when they're first starting out, they start off as personal brands and sometimes evolve into a business brand. But for the most part, these are the main tenets of a personal brand. So some examples are going to be people like Amy Porterfield, Brendan Burchard, Jenna Kutcher, Marie Forleo, and of course our very own Bobby Klink. They are all examples of personal brands. Incidentally, Bobby used to have a business brand called Your Online Genius, and he transitioned over to a personal brand because essentially he was a personal brand, but he was falling under the name of his business brand. So he just sort of consolidated that into a personal brand. Next up, we have business brand. So this is when your company name is different than yours, and it's typically you can have employees. Of course, personal brands can also have employees, but a business brand is going to be a significant separation from you, your personal personality, and that of the business. So the business sort of takes on its own persona. So that way, down the road, if you decide to sell your business, you don't have to worry about your name being so associated with that business, right? So this is when that separate personality than the actual owner of the business. So if you plan to sell your business, down the road, you might want to think about creating a business brand. So that way, there's a separation from your name and the company name. So some examples of business brands are going to be your Cokes, Nike, FedEx. Those are all examples of business brands, as well as a plethora of online and local brick and mortar businesses that aren't a person's name. An exception to this is going to be brands like Hershey's, McDonald's, and Disney. They all started with the founder's name, And as time went on, these names became synonymous with the products they sold. But these are legacy brands. They've been around for 100 years. Maybe not McDonald's, but they've been around for a while. So you get the idea there. And then next up, we have the hybrid brand. And this is just simply when the company name is pretty much synonymous with the owner or founder. So, you think of B School, you think of Marie Forleo. So I think that's sort of an online entrepreneur example. And even if you think of like social curator, you immediately think of Jasmine Star if you have been in the space. So other examples, though, larger scale examples are going to be people like Richard Branson, who is Virgin, Elon Musk, who is Tesla, and Steve Jobs. Those are Apple. So those guys, and it became the just sort of synonymous with the company name. And you will find that if you are here, you are most likely a personal brand, or you're most likely a business brand, but you are still the face of your business. So in essence, you're still a personal brand operating under a business brand name. So what type of brand do you have? So to take action now, I want you to determine what type of brand your business is. It's pretty simple, hopefully. And think about, as you're doing this and as you're going through the rest of this course, think about how you think your audience either does perceive you or how you want them to perceive you, and see how those kind of match up, because we're going to be thinking about that throughout the entire course here as we move forward. So that's it for this lesson. And just to give you a recap, we basically went over what branding actually is. We went over the 3 different types of brands, and you hopefully were able to determine what type of your brand is. And in the next lesson, you are going to learn why branding is so important to the success of your business. We'll see you in the next lesson.